All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. and Lady, thank you all for tuning into Kinetic Aesthetic. I am your host, Jerm. I hope you all are having a beautiful Thursday, and now it's time that you have a little Kinetic Aesthetic time. So today we are going to be having a little discussion about a very famous rapper out of Memphis. He's one that you may not be too familiar with because he spent a couple of those years in prison, but based off today's news story and what we're going to be talking about, he's going to be going right back. I, of course, am talking about Pooh Shiesty, the Memphis rapper most famous for his 2021 song, Back in Blood, featuring Lil Durk. He was picked up by the feds recently in connection to an armed robbery along with 9 other people, including his own damn father and his main rapping partner, a nigga that goes by the name of Big 30. Now, I am not the biggest fan of Pooh Shiesty, just music-wise. I liked Back in Blood. I thought it was a decent song. Him and Durk did their thing. And I think he does a pretty decent job, but he's just one of those rappers I feel like is a little too simple. And him and Big 30, they really don't, like, their music really is just about, like murder and just trapping and just shit like that. It's cool and it has its place. It's nice to hear if you try to go into the gym, but it ain't my cup of tea. But to get further back into the story, reports state that back on January 10th, Pooh, whose real name is Lontrell, he set up a meeting between him and the heads of his label. They were going to meet at a music studio in Dallas to discuss his contract. Now, just to get ahead of this part of the story, he signed to 1017, the label, the new 1017, I should state, and that is headed by rap icon, Gucci Mane. That is a word that I really could say legend. Gucci is that sort of like well reputed and noted in the game. If you know, you know. If you a fan of rap, especially during those early 2000s, you are familiar with Gucci Mane. I don't even really got to go too in depth about who he is. So Gucci and I want to say a couple other people just show up. I know we had some security with him. They all show up to Dallas. They're there for the meeting, and they go in there and they meet with Pooh Shiesty. But eventually that shit just went south. Shiesty, Big 30, they whole crew came in, whole 9 of them. They up pipe on Gucci and the crew and everything, and shit just went up. They forced Gucci to sign Pooh Shiesty's release from the new set 1017 at gunpoint. Niggas was getting choked. Niggas was getting stripped of their valuables. They walked out of there with some Rolexes, chains, shit like that. And honestly, this shit is crazy as hell because anybody that is familiar with Gucci, this is a nigga that is rapped about, that is talked about, robbing niggas, doing them dirty, all type of shit. So for him to be on the other side of this was just sort of crazy. But irony aside, this whole story actually came out as just a rumor. Like this, and I want to say it's just a couple months ago. I can remember just reading reports early February about how something that happened between Pooh Shiesty and Gucci. I even saw something from Tasha K, a real famous celebrity gossip merchant. She even got sued by Cardi B for the shit that she was saying. And I honestly, and I think a lot of other people, we probably just passed it off as, nah, that's some bullshit. That didn't really happen. Like, no, it was no pictures, no proof, nothing had really surfaced. So nobody was really looking at that like, okay, yeah, they really was robbing niggas. I thought that was just some bullshit. People was just bored and saying stuff. This man, Pooh Shiesty, is on probation, I'm thinking, so why would he be even moving like that and putting himself in that situation? Plus, Gucci's a real street rap and a trap legend. The nigga's legacy is undeniable. For him to get done like that is just a crazy thing for me to wrap my head around, and I'm gonna just be honest. But at the end of the day, though, if, like, with all the dirt that this man Gucci has done in his life, even despite him being done dirty, I sort of have to place a little bit of the blame at that man's. And Gucci should have seen this shit coming, and there's lots of reasons for that. Because I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Pooh Shiesty is not the first like overly hard street rapper that this nigga has signed. Gucci is very open about why he signs these niggas. He does it because he sees a lot of himself in the artists that he signs, and so he is always trying to find people that remind him of him and I guess give them a chance. And just to give it some more perspective, Gucci, once he got released from his little prison stint that he did back when Free Gucci was one of the biggest things in rap, he decided to rebrand his label 1017, Brick Squad 1017, to 1017 Eskimo. That lasted for a couple years, but then he ended up rebranding that in 2020. He signed 6 other new artists, including Shiesty, and that was when it became the new 1017. Other people that was on there included Fujiano, Hot Boy West, Roboy, Hood Rich Pablo Juan, and he had some female rappers Enchanting and K Shade. Now, it's really when we get into this part where you start to see like the little supposed curse that's on 1017, because damn near everybody that I just listed is either not on the label, or they are dead, or they're in prison. Like, this nigga, when I tell y'all he signs convicts, he signs hardened criminals, this nigga signs people that are just like him before he got clean and did all this shit he did to clean himself up. That describes his whole roster of these artists. Hot Boy West, Fujiano, and Roboy are all in prison. Hood Rich Pablo Juan, I believe he's still in jail, but I believe he might have gotten out. He was fighting RICO charges, so his case was real serious. And Enchanting, she sadly actually passed away from a drug overdose. That one was real sad. I remember that happened, I want to say in 2024. And K Shade, she's really the only one that I can't really find anything on, other than she just got dropped and she just sort of fell off or fell back into the background. Like, all of these people have either had their careers stifled by drugs or death, or these niggas have gotten incarcerated. It's gotten, like I'm telling you, it's gotten to the point Gucci has a very notable reputation when it comes to the type of people he's going to sign. You're not really looking at Gucci to sign anybody unless you can really say that they're probably going to be going to jail soon. Like I said, it's understandable when you look at him and you look at his life and maybe what he's trying to do, but it's playing with fire, and he got burned on this one. Now, with all of this being said, it's not just as simple as Pooh Shiesty turning on this man for no reason. It wasn't like Pooh just, eventually a pit bull is going to show his true teeth, that type of thing. Nah, this stemmed from some real life tension and real life shit that just sort of got a little messy. Now, there was one artist that I did not mention that Gucci had signed to the new 1017. That was an artist who went by the name of Big Scar. He passed away from a drug overdose in 2022, and it's worth noting at this point that Big Scar and Pooh Shiesty are cousins. I believe Pooh Shiesty is the big cousin to Big Scar, so needless to say, him losing him to an overdose was probably not something that he took well. And what really started the whole issues with Gucci and Scar, well, not with Scar, but Scar's family, including Shiesty probably, is that he had a conversation with Big Scar's mother where she walked away from him thinking, okay, he's going to pay this entire funeral cost. Like, he's going to take care of everything, all the expenses. I don't got to worry about it. And I'm talking about all this because Big Scar's father came on social media, went on Instagram, and he sort of gave some more clarification, more details, so that I'm able to give y'all this one right here. But once they actually sent over the invoice for the cost of the funeral over to Gucci, this nigga only sent back $10,000. Gucci was not, it was a misunderstanding. That's what the father called it, but Gucci was not, he wasn't trying to be on the hook for all that. And what really, I feel like I got to note this, Atlantic, which was, I guess, the big label that was associated with 1017 at the time and everything, they also sent over $10,000 to help pay for the funeral and everything, but the family still needed $40K to help cover it. I'm not going to get into the whole logistics of why they decided to have this man have a funeral that was over $60,000. I'm not going to touch all that, regardless of somebody big and famous offering to pay for the funeral. I don't think I would have even tried to, but again, I'm not going to try to go too hard on them. They lost somebody at that time. They wanted to send him outright. That's their prerogative, and I ain't gonna really try to down on them for that. But after the whole, the money issues and everything like that, that led to some people on Scar's side feeling type of way. You got friends coming out saying shit. You had other family members coming out saying shit. And it really made things worse and didn't help anything when you got Gucci, who, I guess he felt some type of way about them trying to play him about the money or things like that. He decided to ask for the 1017 chains that he gave Scar back. Now, the family didn't take that well. The father, like I said, he's tried to keep it cool. He hasn't, like, anything that I've read from him or looked up, he hasn't said anything too crazy. But I can't imagine that a lot of his friends, a lot of his people in his family, hell, his sister came out and said, fuck no, to giving the chains back. So it wasn't received well. That gives you some insight as to how they ended up in this situation, the beef, how they might have ended up at a point where Shiesty thought this was even like worth it. But with all of that said, even with the context and understanding his reasoning, I personally don't understand how this nigga Pooh Shiesty thought this was a smart move. This is a nigga who had just been released from the feds in October last year after serving about 3 years of a 5-year conspiracy charge for robbery at that. Like, looking, lo and behold, this nigga just cannot stop robbing people. For him to do such a high-profile crime when you are reportedly still have on a fucking ankle monitor has to be the most brain-dead shit I have ever read about or just seen posted on the internet. I ain't really ever gotten the vibe that the nigga was like no fucking Einstein or really that smart at all, but I am genuinely flabbergasted that anybody, even in his crew, were allowing him to make a move this dumb. You got your breadwinner out here committing armed robberies on his label head. It's not smart. It's not, like, I don't understand why he had to even be there. But these niggas ain't rocket scientists. Nobody that is in this man's crew had all the lights on up there, because right after they did this, these niggas were flexing online with the jewelry that they stole. Because clearly the smartest thing to do after robbing wealthy people is to showcase the exact jewelry to the internet. The feds and police don't exist online. Them niggas just goofies. I hope y'all understand the sarcasm I'm trying to land, because I don't know how to really start talking about this aspect of it any other way. Like, I know this is sounding harsh. I know I'm sounding sort of condescending when I talk about it, but this nigga Pooh Shiesty is literally just he is the example of the worst aspects of the streets rolled into one. It's niggas like him, it's niggas like Vaughn that niggas just love to sort of like praise, and they just love what they was about and all this and that. But they are the ones who ushered in this crash out shit. They the ones who ushered in this brain dead, let me just go do this and not think about the consequences shit. That's getting niggas caught up. That's having niggas claiming that people are snitching on them when they're snitching on themselves. And I don't want to be misconstrued. I understand that both of them niggas' lives, both of the lives that they led are the result of systemic issues that have long held down niggas, that have pushed people of color into lifestyles that are destructive and toxic. I get all that. But that doesn't excuse them for what they have unabashedly come to epitomize, which is the worst aspects of their surroundings. And I don't like the idea that some people try to push back on that type of, on what I was just saying about them, because they just don't like to just really hold them accountable. They like to push it away as blaming it on the man for them being this way and things like that. When I'm gonna be honest with you, I know plenty of niggas that have grown up in these same environments and surrounding areas and shit like that don't grow up to just be agents of chaos. Pooh Shiesty went from dropping a first day out that had a lot of motherfuckers buzzing. It had my own homies telling me how hyped up and how happy they was he was back. And the whole time I'm over there listening to him, I'm over here just watching this man get released, watching all the news come out, watching the social media posts, and I just saw this coming. I saw the messages he was sending the motherfuckers behind bars before he got out. I read them, and I could tell even then, this nigga hasn't grown. This nigga has not matured. He hasn't realized the opportunity that's in front of him and how all he has to do is stay out the way and stay out of trouble. Pooh Shiesty is allergic to freedom. This is a nigga that is institutionalized, and his mindset is going to be the main reason he never gets back to the highs he was riding when Back in Blood dropped. This man blew up, had a major setback, was able to get out and have a second chance after it all, and then threw it away like a moron over nothing. And for what? Some clout? Some street cred? Some fucking jewelry? None of that is going to matter if he gets all the 30 years he's facing. And to top it all off, him forcing Gucci to sign that release isn't even going to fucking matter. Let me give y'all a little lesson right quick. Anything that you are forced to sign under duress, like if a nigga were to come to you and like force you to become his slave with a gun to your head, if you take that to any like barely credible court of law, they're going to toss it out. They're going to tell you that's bullshit because you are not allowed to sign anything under duress. So that means that whole little release, that's null and void. That means all the money that he's been making, Gucci's still gonna get his cut. All them first day out profits, all the first day out streams, all the money that goes to that, Gucci and the label still gonna get most of that. Any merch, if Gucci got this nigga signed to a 360, he's getting some of that. So all the guns, all the drama, all the flexing on IG after you did all that shit, it's all fucking pointless. Now your crew's locked. You and Big 30 not gonna be doing any shows. Y'all not gonna be getting any new money coming in unless motherfuckers streaming your old shit. And the worst of it all, your own fucking father is locked up with you. Like, I just want to give a special "you suck" message to his daddy, because how much of a fucking failure do you have to be to put your son in this position? How goofy do you have to be to just, as a father, because apparently he helped set this shit up too. He helped get all this shit going, helped set this robbery up. How is it that you are going to look at your son's position, recognize that he is your breadwinner, and still say to myself, let me go do this? This is the best way for me to go do this. I know he's a felon. I know he got all this shit. Let me have him set up this meeting where we're going to fucking rob him. It's dumb. It's goofy. Like, how could you not just be a good dad and at least push him to stay out of that side of shit? I can't wrap my head around it, but that is probably why they're where they're at, because that's the type of shit that they can wrap their head around. Now, one last thing that I feel like I got to mention about this is this accusation that Gucci Mane is a rat, that he was snitching, anything like that. That shit is dumb, and honestly, it is more than likely false. For starters, as I said earlier, Pooh Shiesty most definitely had a fucking ankle monitor on if he was there. This man is literally, like, I think they arrested this man at a fucking rehabilitation home where he was doing some program where you have to be like living in there, like a halfway house. So already that's fucking goofy. Then, not to mention, you're doing this in a recording studio. I don't know if anybody else has been able to wrap their head around it. You are being surveillanced at almost all times. So if you step outside of your home, there's probably a camera that's picking you up, that's going to have you on video, that's going to record your actions. You are not doing shit without that happening, especially in a recording studio. I can almost guarantee you that they have cameras across that whole studio, because why would you not? All that expensive ass equipment around, you're going to want to know what happened to him. You're going to want to have everything on camera. Then you combine that with his fucking crew, these flunkies and weed carriers that this man had help him do all this. These niggas decide to flex on Instagram with the jewelry. It is always going to catch up to you. The only reason niggas in Chicago are able to do the things they do when it comes to flexing on IG and telling on themselves on the internet is because the police don't fucking care. I don't know how it is in Memphis, so maybe that's how it is out there too. But this nigga did this in Dallas. They fucking care in Dallas, nigga. Like, this is a case with all the shit that I just mentioned that a fucking adolescent could have solved. All of this shit is enough by itself for him to get caught up. But the icing on the cake of all of it is that one of the Gucci security team that he had brought with him was a fucking ex-cop. Retired ex-cop something. Either way, he was involved with law enforcement. So these niggas assaulted, probably choked, and robbed a member of law enforcement, and then thought that they were going to just get away with that shit. A big name rapper like Big 30 and a big name rapper like Pooh Shiesty. These niggas set up an appointment, had the niggas in it robbed, and then just thought they were going to just get off scot-free and just go away from that shit. Like, yeah, nah, you free from the country, you can do whatever you want. This is what happens when niggas don't get good educations. This is what happens when niggas are not raised properly. This is what happens when you have a whole generation of broken people. They create broken shit. Every dumb mistake that these niggas can make when doing dirt, these niggas did so and did not think twice. It's the type of decision making that I expect from YNs, from 14-year-olds, from niggas that ain't even old enough to go to war yet. This nigga Pooh Shiesty is 26. I don't know how Big 30 is, but I know that nigga is not younger than 21. I want to use the R word to describe how goofy these niggas is, but I'm just going to try not to. This Pooh Shiesty shit is just ridiculous at the end of the day, y'all. And it further illustrates why I myself can just not fully ever get behind street shit. It irks me that it's a lot of niggas out there that's going to be defending this nigga and meat riding his actions because they like a song by him. It speaks to a major problem that we having, that is so many niggas that move like Pooh Shiesty that are supported, that get clout, that get it, just credibility. I have long had this idea that a part of the big issue for why the streets feel so out of control and why they feel so fucked up now, maybe compared to how shit was back in the day. And I'm a young nigga. I was born in 1995. I really can't speak on how it was in the 90s. But I just really feel like when I was coming up and when I was young, even the street niggas I know, I felt like they wanted to be money makers. These niggas was trying to get money. They wanted to take some of them old cool pictures where niggas was just like in the chairs and shit, had the nice little dope backdrops. Now everybody wants to be a crash out. Everybody wants to be Alpo. They don't want to be money making Mitch. Everybody is trying to be like Young Boy or Dirk. They don't want to be like Jay-Z. These niggas see what comes with going and trying to live the lives that Young Boy and Dirk had. They see that these niggas have been in and out of prison, having to deal with jail, having to lose friends, having to literally always be ready to go into a war. And yet that's what they want to do. It's a complicated issue. I don't really have an answer as to how we fix that shit, how we fix that mindset. But I just know this is one that we really got to address. With all that said, I'm very curious to hear everybody's thoughts on this. So with all that being said, like I said, subscribe. Stay up to date so that you are knowledgeable and that you are notified whenever we drop anything new. But with that being said, I want you all to continue to be good people. Drink lots of water. Tell your friends and family that you love them. And just be kind to everybody out there. This has been Kinetic Aesthetic. My name is Jerm, and I'm out of here.